high-ranking official of state health insurer Philhealth says the disbursements for the controversial interim reimbursement mechanism from March to early June were illegally released. Philhealth Senior Vice President Rodolfo del Rosario Jr. makes the revelation at the House of Representatives probe into Philhealth Thursday, August 20.
Sir, it would appear that those funds were not released based on the prerequisites set by the circular on the publication and the furnishing of copies to the owner.
What?
I agree with the chairman that it's illegal.
The IRM allows emergency cash advances for medical facilities during fortuitous events to ensure continuous healthcare services without having to endure long lines and deal with tedious bureaucratic processes. It was first used for Super Typhoon Haiyan in 2013, then the Marawi siege in 2017, the Taal volcano eruption in January 2020, and now the COVID-19 crisis. Del Rosario excused himself twice in past hearings due to supposed health concerns. He immediately went online after lawmakers threatened to hold him in contempt. Philhealth already suspended its implementation of the IRM on August 13 after multiple anomalies were uncovered. The Ombudsman also suspended 13 Philhealth officials amid corruption allegations, including Del Rosario. The Senate ratifies the Bayanihan to recover as one bill or Bayanihan 2, allotting a total of 165.5 billion pesos to government efforts to quash the COVID-19 pandemic and prop up the struggling Philippine economy. If signed into law by Duterte, Bayanihan 2 will be in effect until December 19. The version the Senate approved was finalized by both chambers of Congress. Senator Sonny Angara says Bayanihan 2 is more about saving jobs and economic recovery. Only 140 billion pesos of the allotted fund will be readily available, as the government has yet to identify revenue sources for the remaining 25.5 billion pesos standby fund. The Senate only allotted 140 billion pesos because it was all the Department of Finance could commit to provide. The 25.5 billion peso standby fund will be available once additional funds are generated from savings and unused amounts. Among the highlights of the Bayanihan 2 bill are cash subsidies to low-income households, repatriated overseas Filipino workers, cash assistance to displaced or unemployed workers, special risk allowances on top of hazard pay for public and private healthcare workers, and grace periods for rent and bill payments. But the approved measure excludes the provisions establishing the Accelerating Recovery to Intensify Solidarity and Equity, or ARISE Incorporated, which will invest in private companies as a way to tide them over the economic slump. The House is expected to ratify the Bicameral approved bill on Monday, August 24. Meanwhile, Malacanang announces on Friday, August 21, that face shields, apart from face masks, are required in enclosed commercial places like malls, indoor workplaces, and public transportation. The Department of Health reports 4,786 cases of COVID-19, bringing the country's total confirmed cases to 182,365 as of Friday. Autopsy results show Anakpawis chair Randy Echanis was tortured before he was killed. Forensic pathologist Raquel Fortun says Echanis suffered multiple stab wounds before a stab to his aorta killed him immediately. She counts around 40 stab wounds on Echanis' body.
Hindi muna siya pinatay agad, right? So torture is not something that we would really commit to in a forensic report. But the insinuations could be there that, well, basically torture means he was made to suffer before he was really definitively killed. Mr. Echanis sustained one fatal injury. Ito yung stab wound sa back nga na tinamaan yung aorta niya. That killed him at once. However, he had other injuries which were inflicted while he was still alive. And you see the distribution at the back. And you see, dito mo nakikita yung parang may pattern siya. It implies intent.
Echanis' lawyer Raquel Pastores says he was receiving death threats ever since the peace talks broke down between the Duterte administration and the National Democratic Front in 2019. Echanis was one of the political consultants for the peace deal. Meanwhile, another slain activist, Zara Alvarez, asked for protective writs from the Supreme Court back in 2019. The protection order, which is a form of restraining order, was requested against the entire military sector and Malacanang officials such as Undersecretary Lorraine Marie Badoy, who is the spokesperson of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. The petition was denied and Alvarez appealed the decision. She was killed August 17. Her appeal is still pending. Joe Biden formally accepts the Democratic nomination for the United States presidency Thursday, August 20, or early Friday in Manila to end the darkness of Donald Trump's rule.
The current president has cloaked American darkness for much too long. Too much anger, too much fear, too much division. Here and now, I give you my word. If you entrust me with the presidency, I will draw on the best of us, not the worst. I'll be an ally of the light, not the darkness. It's time for us, for we the people, to come together.
Biden urges Americans to punish Trump for the chaos that has seen more than 170,000 deaths and economic calamity.
Our current president has failed in his most basic duty to the nation. He's failed to protect us. He's failed to protect America. And my fellow Americans, that is unforgivable.
Biden leads in almost every national opinion poll and also in the crucial swing states. But Trump is pushing back. He tries to steal Biden's thunder with a visit just outside his challenger's birthplace in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Joe Biden is no friend of Pennsylvania. He's actually, for the reasons we just said, he's your worst nightmare. Biden supported every single globalist attack on Pennsylvania workers.
Trump's shock win in 2016 over Hillary Clinton was partly due to divisions within the Democrats. This time, the party is doing everything to emphasize unity, with many of Biden's primary rivals appearing in a friendly joint video call during the convention. Korean superstars BTS debuted their first English-language single on Friday, August 21, smashing yet another record on video streaming platform YouTube. Dynamite is the Korean boy group's first all-English single. Forbes magazine says the video had at least 3 million concurrent viewers when it premiered. It has already amassed 29 million views roughly 3 hours after its premiere. Forbes estimates the Dynamite music video likely doubled the former record, which was held by another Korean act, Blackpink. BTS leader RM says the fun disco pop beat was the group's recharge project as they struggled with the restrictions brought about by the coronavirus pandemic, with tours out of the question because of safety precautions and travel restrictions. BTS is among the biggest groups from South Korea. They debuted in 2013 and shot to international fame from 2015 to 2016 and have since sold out the biggest venues around the world.